All right, Shred Nation, welcome back. Happy Friday, everybody. Let's go. Let's go. As you guys log on, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from. Check in. Let everybody know where Shred Nation's at. Show some love. Welcome to Friday. This is the world's favorite day of the week. This is Shred Friday. And we got a Q&A we got to go over today. So got some good questions through the social outlets. So through Facebook and Instagram that we're going to go over here as the show starts. But if you guys are watching this live, comment where you're at, where you're located. Show some love. Let us know where you are. Interact a little bit. Being a part of Shred Nation is a full contact participation experience. And I appreciate you guys' support. You can catch the show here at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. Okay, every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. So check out the YouTube channel. That's The School of Shred. If you want to take the show on the go, take the school on the go, you have the podcast app and you have Spotify. All you got to do is go on there and look up The School of Shred. And if you guys could, please do a review on the podcast app. It helps us get placed. And if you guys take time out of your day to go do a review for the School of Shred on the podcast app, I'm going to hook you guys up with a free gift. And so after you do your review, screenshot it, direct message it to me with your email address and your home address. And what I'm going to do is send you out a gift. So I appreciate you guys' support and want to show the love right back to you. So if you guys want to hear more about the School of Shred, go to schoolofshredpodcast.com for more. And let's get started. So this is episode 24 of The School of Shred, the one and only. So the first question we got today is, hey, John, I'm on a budget. What's the best low-cost protein source? So this is a really good question, especially right now with financial hardship going around this country. Knowing what the best budget-friendly protein options are and food options are can be really helpful. And so I got a couple here for you. The first one is going to be eggs. Okay, so when I first started working out and lifting weights, I did not have really two dimes to rub together, 2 quarters to rub together. So it was hard in the beginning. And so what I would do is eggs. So you can go get those 5 dozen box of eggs. And, quality, if you can get free range, pasture raised, if you can find a local farm, that's the best thing to do. But if you're on a budget and you're just starting out, like anything's better than nothing. And so you can go to like Costco or any store and they have the 5 dozen box of eggs. You're going to get 5 dozen eggs for less than $10. And so it's a really good deal. That's a really budget friendly option that you can pursue. The next thing on the list is going to be ground beef. So ground beef can be pretty cheap. It's one of the cheaper meats that you can get. And on this show, I talk a lot about grass-fed, grass-finished if we can get it. If you can find a local butcher to deep freeze and get, a quarter beef or half beef, that's ideal. But that's stuff that you can work towards as time goes on. So if you're on a budget, just getting regular standard beef is better than nothing. So even if it's corn-fed, we want to try to not support this big industrialized industry of major beef and whatnot if we can, but you got to do what you can, right? So anything's better than nothing. So you can go with like an 80-20 block of ground beef. They have those like big blocks to store that you can get for like less than $10. If you guys are members to Costco, we go to like the business Costco and they have like, I think it's 5-pound big things of beef. It's like 70, 75, 25 or something like that. So 25% fat. You can get those for like real cheap. I think like $20 or something like that or less. But pretty wicked. And you just get individual bags and then bag it up and freeze it. So that's a really good budget-friendly option. So eggs and beef is going to be really where you kind of want to hover around. You have things like chicken and whatnot, but chicken thighs and chicken breasts, I mean, those guys can start to get kind of spendy. So because all the health freaks out there are buying up all the chicken. So go with the beef. It's got a ton of vitamins and minerals in it. That's what I would suggest. You have all your B vitamins. You have zinc, which is great. It's good for thyroid function. It's good for building muscle. So beef is a powerhouse, and so are eggs and egg yolks. So, and then as you want to spend a little bit more money, you can just get better eggs and better beef. So what I wouldn't recommend is cheap protein powders. So if you guys are on a budget, don't go out and get protein powder. Just don't do it. Spend the money on a really good protein, a really high grade pharmaceutical grade protein powder. If you're going to use it at all, I would recommend that you take that money and just spend it towards food and food quality. And just because what happens with protein powders where, that are cost friendly, budget friendly, they're usually subjected to heat, which deaminates and renders useless the amino acid content that's in the protein. Quite frequently, you'll get these tests where they will grab 5 protein powders from the shelf. They'll test them, and at best, these protein powders might have half the amino acid content that they claim they do on the box. So it's pretty grim in that industry, and so just don't go with the cheapest protein. If you're going to buy supplements, you guys, spend the money because you actually want to get what you're trying to buy. You don't want to just get filler and artificial sweeteners, right? So I would definitely recommend not getting cheap protein powders. They can also irritate your gut. And so the second question, thank you for your question though. Second question is, how much caffeine is too much? Boy, is there too much? I love caffeine. I love my morning coffees. I love my afternoon coffees. So this one's just one of those case-by-case basis. Anywhere from 120 to 500 milligrams a day you could stay in there. So 120 milligrams would be like a 12 ounce of coffee. And that's enough for some people. And then, if you're a heavy caffeine user, you might be getting up towards 500. I know I've done 600 in the past, which is a lot of caffeine for sure, but your body gets used to it over time. What I would recommend is if you have the upper echelon or the upper tier of caffeine, that you start to consider supplementing with L-theanine. So L-theanine can help balance out and stabilize caffeine. It can stabilize the jittery feelings that you get. And so I have caffeine 2 different times in the day. So right when I get up, I'll have coffee. Usually 1 cup of it, I like to do cold brew with whipping cream in it. Sometimes I'll do 2. And then in the afternoon, usually because I work late training clients till 8 or 9 when business is going, or 10, I'll do another serving of caffeine at about 4 or 5. I try to shut caffeine down 6 hours before bed at least. And with that afternoon caffeine, I take L-theanine. And L-theanine, like I said, it's naturally found in green tea, but it can help balance out the effects of the caffeine. So you get a good, clean energy. So that might be something you want to consider if you're taking caffeine in the afternoon, because you get afternoon lows. So, but there's not really a too much. I mean, over 500, you'd have to be punishing caffeine and coffee all day long, which I just don't recommend. Caffeine is going to get you in a fight or flight response. That's why it wakes you up. It's going to up cortisol production. And so we don't want to be elevating these stress hormones all throughout the day. Balancing our autonomic nervous system is one of the most important things that we can do. And so if we're drinking caffeine constantly, there's no balance. And if you have a stressful job and you're in the tech industry and you run business and you're just always go, 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 you're already stressing your system. If you're working out, you're already stressing your system. So just take that into consideration if you're caffeining through the day and it's your drug of choice to get through the day. Think about maybe supplement with some L-theanine. That can help. So 120 to 500 milligrams. That's just a loose recommendation, but that's typically 1 cup of coffee, like 4 cups of coffee a day. So, but it could negatively affect your sleep if you're doing it within 6 hours of bed. So consider that. So thank you for your question. Question number 3, moving right along. I see on your IG organ meats a lot. Why do you eat them so frequently? Any other tips? So yes, I'm that guy. I eat nose to tail. There's a lot of organ meats you're going to see on my stories. If you go to my Instagram at John Reed Fitness, I'm always hyping the organ meats. Part of something that the students that are at the School of Shred go through is it's relearning process and rediscovering. And through rediscovering ancestral type dieting and things that we've basically forgotten about, and people call organ meats scrap meats now, and they're relatively cheap, but the reality is that it's well documented that muscle meats used to be thrown to the dogs and the animals, and then the humans would eat the liver and the organs. And so just because they're loaded, packed full of nutrition. And so the reason that I eat organ meats at least 2 times a week from grass-fed, pasture-raised animals, so high-quality sources, is really important on this one. The reason that I do that is because that's nature's multivitamin. Beef liver, grass-fed beef liver, is the most nutrient-dense food in the world. Okay, there's no vegetable that comes close. And so 3.5 ounces of beef liver, which is a very small amount. I mean, it's probably about the size of this coaster that I'm holding in my hand. So about the size of the palm of your hand is about 3.5 ounces. So really not that much at all. I mean, most people eat 6 to 8 ounces of meat at a sitting anyway, so you could do twice that. But 3.5 ounces of beef liver provides 1,100% of your daily value of vitamin A retinol. That's the active form of vitamin A that is super important for eye health, growth hormone production. It's an amazing, amazing vitamin. A lot of people will get it from like cod liver oil if they supplement with it, but this is found naturally in grass-fed beef liver. If you eat carrots and you eat like beta carotene, you have to realize that that is a different form of vitamin A. That's an inactive form of vitamin A that you need zinc to convert that in your thyroid so you can use it. And so this is retinol. Okay, when you get it from animal product, you're actually eating the retinol form of vitamin A. And so if you eat it from plant sources, your body has to convert it from carotenes into retinol and retinoids. And so there is that distinction you need to make. So just because you're eating good vegetables like some carrots or some peppers and things like that, orange product, you're not getting the active form of vitamin A, but it is in beef. So that's 1,100%, 3.5 ounces of beef that you get. You get 3,460% of your daily value of B12. You get 260% of your daily value vitamin B2. You get 1,620% of your daily value of copper. You get 80% of your daily value in iron from just 3.5 ounces. And I'll usually eat about 10 ounces of it twice a week. And so are you going to overload on B vitamins? Realize that they are super important for cellular metabolism. Energy shots that you see, those guys are loaded with B vitamins, and that actually helps us with B vitamins. People do B vitamin injections. You could skip all of that and just actually eat it naturally, found in nature, from grass-fed beef liver. If you consume too much of these water-soluble vitamins, you pee them out. You're not at risk for any type of toxicity like you would be with overdoing vitamins A, D, E, and K, which are fat-soluble vitamins. So that's something to consider. I mean, to me, that's why for the first 6 months, I had to learn how to choke this stuff down. But I mean, old bodybuilders and people that were interested in building muscle before the onset of all these steroids that popped up. So back like Vince Gironda's one of them. They used to eat liver like weekly, and it was part of their staple. That and full fat whole cream, all of that stuff. So And this is part of this rediscovery process that we talk about at the School of Shred, which is, eating nose to tail, encouraging that, making bone broth. So you're getting all the nutrition from the animal, and it's all this complementary nutrition that you might not be getting if you're just eating muscle meat. So really cool. It makes you feel a bit like a caveman because you're going through the whole animal, but and it inherently feels healthy to me. That's my opinion. But there's also the objective information of what's in the product that you're eating. So that's why I eat so many organ meats, and at least twice a week I do organ meats. I do grass-fed beef liver. I do beef heart. I will do chicken hearts. I have head cheese, which is like beef and tongue, and then I'll do liverwurst. So liverwurst is good if you guys don't like the taste of liver. You can try liverwurst. That's a little bit more gentle on the taste and the palate to kind of get your introduction going. But eventually you just got to dive all in, man, and you got to go for it. You got to dive all in. You got to do the liver. And so if you guys want to cook liver the right way, you do want to worry about prep. And so this is one of the main things that when you get into cooking organ meats, you need to worry about how you're prepping the meat. And so what I like to do, if I'm going to do beef liver, is I'll get the beef liver out. I soak it overnight in a whole cream, like a whipping cream, same whipping cream I'll use for my coffee in the morning. Or I will do a raw milk. Okay, so there's all the enzymes and whatnot in that raw milk. And so I'll soak the liver overnight, and that helps pull some of the really pungent flavors out of the liver. And so then I wash the liver off. You slice it real fine. And then what I like to do is I'll get eggs out. I'll do a little egg wash. I will run it through a little coconut flour or almond flour, and then I'll fry it in a good high heat oil. So that might be like a ghee, a grass-fed ghee, or a grass-fed butter, coconut oil, or a avocado oil. So those are the ones that I'll play around with depending on what I want. Sometimes I like to do the coconut oil because it makes it kind of sweet. So that's the way that I like to do liver. So just know that you don't just throw this stuff on and cook it. So soak it overnight in milk, maybe bread it a little bit in some type of a good low carbohydrate like breading, like a almond flour or coconut flour, and then don't overcook it. If you overcook it, it will become tough and it'll be extra chewy, and then that's going to be really hard to get down. And then lastly, make a good sauce to dip it in. What I just explained is almost like chicken nuggets, what you can make. It's like little breaded nuggets. And what I do is I'll take a low sugar, like G. Hughes barbecue sauce, and you can mix that with something like a Primal Kitchen avocado mayo. And you can make like a nice little low carbohydrate, higher fat sauce to dip it in. And that's really good. So you can try that out. Your health will thank you for it. So we need to rediscover eating nose to tail and create some traditions around utilizing the whole animal. So that's number 3. So thank you for that question. I'm glad I'm getting people's attention, eating organ meats and kind of confusing people and making them raise their eyebrow a little bit. So there's a reason for everything. The last question of the day was awesome episode on rancid fats. That episode was I think number 20. That was earlier this week on consuming rancid oils. So anyway, it reads, is it okay to get coconut oil in a clear plastic container? So I had went over on Monday in the earlier episode this week. We talked about olive oils and oils that are prone to oxidation and how we want really dark glass bottles. And so it helps these oils not oxidize. And so if you're getting an olive oil or an avocado oil, you really want to make sure that it's not a see-through bottle. And then it's a glass bottle. You don't want to be getting olive oil from a plastic bottle. Okay, it's going to be more prone to oxidation, and it's going to be more prone to the effects of heat on store shelves and just logistically getting even to the store. So glass bottles are best. This person is asking, is it okay to get coconut oil in a plastic container? So if you go like Costco has the big ones of the plastic, the big plastic see-through containers. Yes, it is okay to get those. So if you can get it in a glass container, that's always best, but the reason that it's fine for coconut oil is because it's a saturated fat, and saturated fats are not prone to oxidation. They're actually the toughest of all fats when subjected to heat, and so they don't change their molecular structure when they're heated up, like a canola oil or vegetable oil that become really toxic, or even fish oils, or olive oil. So there's a gradient here, and on one end of the spectrum, you have like your vegetable oils are very prone to oxidation, and then on the other end of the spectrum, you have like saturated fats, like coconut oils and ghee, bacon grease, stuff like that. The fats that are found in like beef. So those guys are not prone to oxidation, and so if they're in a clear plastic container, that's fine, especially if you're buying it in bulk. Now, consider getting your coconut oil in glass containers, but I have the plastic container that's clear at home myself, and it's just because it's a saturated fat, it's not prone to oxidation. So thank you for your question. So that's 4 questions right there. We're going to wrap up right here. So this is episode 24 of the School of Shred. This was Q&A number 2. So thank you guys for watching. This was a good week. You can check the replays out at the Facebook, Instagram, YouTube channels. Just look up The School of Shred. Instagram is at John Reed Fitness. And if you want to take the podcast on the go, look us up on iTunes and the podcast app. It's just The School of Shred. You can also check out Spotify at The School of Shred. If you guys can leave a review on any of these platforms, and specifically the podcast app, I'm going to hook you guys up with a free gift. So as I said in the beginning of this episode, if you do a review on the podcast app and share the love, what I'm going to do is have you screenshot your review, send it to me in a personal message on Instagram or Facebook. And what I'll do is I just need your email and your address, and I'm going to ship you something cool, and I'm going to hook you up with something through the email as well. So just for supporting the show and helping the school grow organically. So thank you guys for watching this week. We'll be back on Monday at 9 a.m. for a whole new week. And so with that, I want you guys to have a great weekend and stay strong and healthy in body. Stay relentless and energized in your spirit. And stay determined in your pursuits. That spells shred. Now go shred the day and get better in every way. That's all I got for you. Class dismissed.